Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Daily Debate. My name is Ahmed Nader, and tonight we're going to focus on the Decent Life Initiative, the presidential initiative, which has targeted thousands of villages, about 4,500 villages, over 3 different phases all over the country, targeting millions of Egyptians living in the rural areas. And the achievements during the past decades in the field of sustainable development and the goals that were implemented over the past decade under the tenure of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. We will be starting straight away with the main top stories for today, including the presidential activities of President al-Sisi, as President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi met with Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli, Minister of Interior Mahmoud Tawfiq, Minister of Electricity and Renewable Energy Mahmoud Asmat, and the acting head of the Administrative Audit Authority Amr Adil Hosni. Spokesman of the presidency said that the meeting tackled several issues, including the government's plan to secure the sustainable electricity supply. During the meeting, President al-Sisi directed to intensify the work in the current projects in the field of renewable energy with the aim of adding new electricity networks and develop the old ones. Minister of Foreign, Migration and the Expats Affairs, Badr Abdulati, hailed the Egyptian-British bilateral relations, especially on the economic and the trade levels, as well as in the fields of clean energy, information technology and transportation. Abdulati's remarks came during his meeting with Britain's Trade Commissioner for Africa, John Humphrey. Spokesman for the Foreign Ministry, Ahmed Abu Zaid, said that Abdulati reviewed during the meeting the procedures taken by the Egyptian state to boost the private sector's role in the national economy. The spokesman added that the minister asserted that those procedures helped achieve an investment breakthrough in various economic activities. Abdulati expressed his hopes to boost the cooperation between Egypt and the United Kingdom in all fields, and to encourage the British firms to make use of the available opportunities in the projects currently being implemented in Egypt. And finally, the Minister of Foreign, Migration and the Egyptian Expatriates Affairs, Badr Abdulati, cherished the pivotal patriotic role of the Egyptian media outlets in raising public awareness with regards to the state's foreign policy, particularly amid the mounting and unprecedented regional and international challenges. The top diplomat made these remarks in a meeting with the chiefs of the national media authorities, editors-in-chief, and the board members of the national newspapers. Abdulati reviewed the top priorities of the Egyptian foreign policy and its assessment of the surrounding challenges, as well as the efforts for solving the crises of the Gaza Strip and Sudan. We will be heading to the first report of the Daily Debate for tonight, focusing on the Decent Life Initiative and the Egyptian Family Development Initiative as well, all in the upcoming reports, so stay tuned. Positive incentives unveiled in the Egyptian Family Development Initiative, supporting the entrepreneurship and the financial security. The Ministry of Planning and Economic Development has unveiled the significant funding initiative aimed at supporting approximately 3,000 micro-projects. These projects, which fall under the National Family Development Program, prioritize the villages in the Decent Life Initiative across 20 governorates. The funding is set to expand the opportunities for the women-owned micro-projects in various productive, commercial, service, handcraft and heritage sectors, particularly in border provinces, Upper Egypt and the rural areas throughout Egypt. As part of the effort to boost the economic growth and empower women entrepreneurs, a new financing agreement has been signed between the Small and Medium Enterprises Development Authority and the Agricultural Bank of Egypt. This agreement, falling under the Egyptian Family Development Bebriz initiative, provides a total funding of 60 million Egyptian pounds. The funding is made possible through a partnership with the French Development Agency, which supports the financing of the micro-projects for women. According to the ministry's report, the collaboration between the Small and Medium Enterprises Development Authority and the Agricultural Bank of Egypt has already resulted in a total value of contracts reaching 156 million Egyptian pounds. These funds have been utilized as revolving loans supporting over 20,000 micro-projects amounting to over 160 million Egyptian pounds. The financing has been dispersed through the extensive network of the bank's branches covering the entire country. The overarching objective of the National Family Development Project is to enhance the population characteristics and regulate the population growth rates. By doing so, the project aims to enable the Egyptian society to benefit from the fruits of development and achieve the goals outlined in the Egyptian Vision 2030. The project encompasses several key areas, including raising awareness, implementing legislative reforms, digitizing services, and ensuring the provision of the essential healthcare services. The ministry is actively working on all these fronts. Moreover, the near future will witness the full activation of the positive incentives. These incentives include both material and non-material rewards, with the insurance documents granting women financial amounts of up to £60,000. Additional non-material incentives will also be announced in due course. The National Family Development Project represents the Egyptian steadfast commitment to inclusive economic development and the empowerment of women in entrepreneurship. By providing funding and support for the micro-projects, particularly in the rural and the underprivileged areas, the initiative aims to create sustainable livelihoods, reduce the poverty, and improve the social and economic conditions for the Egyptian families. The successful collaboration between the Small and Medium Enterprises Development Authority and the Agricultural Bank of Egypt demonstrates the strong partnership between the government institutions and the financial entities working together to foster entrepreneurship and drive the economic growth. Welcome back. You're still watching the Daily Debate, and I'm honored to be having with me over the program for tonight Dr. Nevine Nakhla, the Professor of Strategic Management. Thank you very much for being with us tonight.
Thank you very much.
Anytime. Of course, we will be starting straight away with the Decent Life Initiative, and it is targeting thousands of villages, at least 4,500 villages, maybe leaning towards 5,000 villages here in Egypt. Targeting millions of Egyptians living in the rural areas. How would you see the first phase of the Decent Life Initiative, and more specifically targeting the standards of living of the Egyptians? How do you think it has changed?
Very good. First of all, I'm happy that we are talking about the Decent Life Initiative again, because it is the biggest initiative in the world that is covering by number the amount of people. 60% of the Egyptian population, they are covered under this Decent Life Initiative. Yes. And we're talking about around 4,600 villages in 152 centers in 20 governorates. And we saw the initiative very strategically planned and very strategically targeting, putting steps into needy assessment of where are the needed areas.
Yes.
So it is very organized and very successful. We saw the first phase. We have completely renovated and changed the lives and affected the lives of around 1,500 villages, millions of Egyptians, and with around 350 billion Egyptian pounds. And this was like a multidimensional and a intervention and cooperation and integration of all the ministries, all the NGOs, all the civil society, all the CSR of the private companies. And we saw 11 banks are involved also with their branches and with their support. We saw also inside the Decent Life Initiative not only infrastructure, not only lining of the lakes
Canals,
and the
yes.
canals, not only fiber optics, not only hundreds of schools and hundreds of hospitals and polyclinics, and we saw the 20 governorate, 20 green villages. No, the most important thing is the development of the people themselves, the development of human.
Yes.
And we saw the great other initiative that I'm very fond with and I respect very much is the National Family Development Initiative. And we saw in the report that the initiative of the Family Development Initiative, it is very much focused on women and women entrepreneurs and economical development. And we saw a lot of success in the first phase in this issue and in awareness and education and family planning, not only family planning, but the women economical development. So we are really very proud and we are very much looking forward for the second phase, which has started, phase 2.
Yes. On the other hand, how do you see the importance of having more job opportunities for the youth and women through the Decent Life Initiative in thousands of villages?
Having more job creation in the villages, it has a lot of different strategic benefits. Not only economically raise the level of living and give them decent life and better life,
yes,
and develop the standard of their living and affordability to buy the food that keeps them healthy, but also on the other side is keeping them in their villages. And creating jobs in these villages is a key success factor and a key thing that was studied very well, because the immigration from these villages to the center of Cairo and to downtown and to Cairo itself, away from their houses and leaving their homes and bringing their kids and their families away from their villages, made plantation less, made fishing less, made the productivity inside the villages much less. So by creating jobs in the villages and educating the youth and the women and creating entrepreneurs in the villages, and not only creating entrepreneurs but teaching them how to promote for their services and how to promote for their products. For example, also the very respectable initiative is the initiative of the Ministry of Communication,
yes,
and Technology. They gave a lot of vocational training and a lot of digital training and fiber optics training and a lot of training to our youth, even English training to be outsources, to outsource them from inside their villages.
Yes.
So they are working in the morning in the plantation. They don't have to move because with the internet also the job creation that took place to our youth in working in the fiber optics, in the infrastructure of their villages, this was a key success factor. Also for women, a lot of SMEs, a lot of small, medium, actually not small, micro, small, medium enterprises,
yes,
especially for the women of breadwinning. The last initiative of microfinance, we saw that there is 160 million Egyptian pounds from the agricultural bank to the Decent Life villages for women under the initiative of the Family Development Initiative. This is not just money given to them. It contains a lot of awareness, a lot of education, a lot of finance to non-finance, a lot of how to do your business and how to market. Because when you teach these ladies to do their small projects as entrepreneurs, and small handicrafts or small cooking project or small baking or taking care of the animals or farming or whatever,
yes.
or even for agri, to do an added value to the agri, like sun-dried tomato or pomegranate or dried vegetables or things like that. They are not like before. Before, in the old ages, when you used to give women a project, especially sewing project, like doing blankets or pillows or things like that, handy things, they were waiting for someone to market for them. And that was completely paralyzing their projects. And we saw in Egypt years ago that the number of entrepreneurs that leave their projects after 1 year is more than 50%. So it was maybe 70%.
Is it a lack of funding or
no,
the lack of patience?
It's a lack of knowing the whole process, the ecosystem. You were giving them just a small part of the ecosystem, which is vocational training, for example.
Yes.
But you were not giving them literacy classes. They were doing blankets and things with their hands, and even handicrafts, but you did not teach them how to read and write. Nowadays, there is no vocational training without literacy classes. There is no vocational training without showing them how to market themselves, how to finance. We used to see a tragic ending for their projects when they sign on white paper. They don't know how to sign even. They were just, what do you call it, with their finger, stamping with their fingers. So that was a tragedy. Now you find success for the projects because it's a full ecosystem, a full strategic planning and execution with time frame. The Decent Life Initiative is built on a very scientific and a very well-established ecosystem.
Yes.
And that's why things are happening on the ground like a dream come true, and a very real and successful outcome is coming from the Decent Life Initiative and from the initiative of the family development, especially for women, and their empowerment economically, health awareness, a lot of training and a lot of awareness classes for newly married ladies and ladies in the age of marriage, for family planning, a lot of knowledge and openness and bridging the gap between the villages and the city. So we see that the education is almost the same, the knowledge is almost the same, the job creation, they can be outsourced from their houses, especially with the online training, all the Zoom meetings, the Google meetings, whatever. It's reaching out to them in their houses without leaving their kids, their families. They're getting the same quality of education and really a better standard of living and a decent life.
It is saving time, money and effort as well. It's an all-encompassing development process, the Decent Life Initiative, as well as the upcoming initiative that we will be focusing on for the rest of the episode as well. But I would like to ask about the response of the people, the response of the citizens and the people living in the villages. Thousands of villages, millions of people are being affected by the infrastructure, the new infrastructure that is being provided to them in their houses, in their villages, through the Decent Life Initiative, of course through the political leadership and the government. But how do you see the response from the people? Do you think that through the past 2 to 3 years, and of course looking forward to the future as well, there will be a change in the mentality, there will be a change in the culture, there will be a change in their mindsets, that we need to be saving time, saving money, saving effort for a better purpose, for example. Do you think that this will be happening in the near future?
Yes, it's happening already. And if you see the villages before and after the Decent Life Initiative and how the people are very happy, and we saw the feedback on the visit of our beloved President, His Excellency Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, when he went to these villages.
Yes.
And he sat with these people and he met the people. And you saw, and we know, and it is very well monitored, how the people, lives are really changed. From the water and the virus C, and the 100,000 health initiative that took place, and the virus C initiative that took place, and the women cancer checkup initiative that took place, with millions of Egyptians served. We see today also the polyclinics and the hospitals in their villages. We saw the librarians in these villages. 3 years ago, if you go to these villages and you say that we will have a library in each village, and we are going to train librarians to stay in these villages and open the libraries for the public, a free service, people would look onto you like they will not believe you. But today this is reality on the ground. The lining of the canal, the water in the canal, distributing the water fairly to people in their plantations, clean water with no garbage, no animals in it, nothing. Very clean, visually green and clean.
Yes.
This is making people's life healthier and happier. We saw the lovely paintings of their houses. Thousands of houses were not having even ceiling over their head.
Yes.
And we saw in old days Aswan during the flood and how people were suffering. Now all these people are moved from the flooding way, and they have decent houses with water in the tap. Sewage, they used to go and use the sewage away from their houses at night, in the middle of the night. You don't have even a proper sewage. Now they have everything. They have doors on their houses. That was not there.
Very basic needs.
Very basic needs. How can you imagine that these people would be productive if they are ill, if they are thirsty, if they are not...
They are unhappy. You've mentioned that they are happy now.
Of course.
There is happiness. But do you think that this happiness will be leading those people, those citizens, to be saving and protecting and maintaining those facilities for the future? Because these infrastructure things, they need to be developed and maintained.
This will take us to the first question you asked me, when you asked me about the job creation in the villages. When you integrate the people and you make the people do the things with their own hands, and they see it a wow thing and they see it a very good thing, this is where people will be scared to ruin it. At the beginning of the initiatives, we saw, like in Asmarat or in different newly buildings,
neighborhoods,
neighborhoods. We saw at the beginning that people were going to these neighborhoods with their same culture. They were going with raising chicken in their balcony like they used to do in their rural areas. But now, if you go into these areas and you see the cultural stage, the cultural area, the place that the youth, they play football in it, the place, the community center of women, and the services given to them, it's the same thing in the villages. People now are taking care of their good things that happened to them, and the development that took place. They are taking very good care of it because they were part of it. They saw it happening and they were happy with it bit by bit. So, and they saw their kids are healthier, their kids are more educated, economically developed. So what else do they want? I mean,
You've mentioned a very important point, Doctor, as well, is that these initiatives, the Decent Life Initiative, for example, the infrastructure and the facilities that are being provided to the people living in thousands of villages, and of course targeting millions of people, this will be leading to less people leaving their houses and homes and villages to the bigger cities like Cairo and Alexandria. When do you think we'll be seeing the effects of that on the bigger cities as well?
I think already you find a lot of people going back to their villages. When also we saw His Excellency the Minister of Industries.
Yes.
He's opening a lot of small projects and a lot of small industries. So His Excellency also Kamel Wazir is doing a great thing into these villages and into the governorate, especially of Upper Egypt, which Upper Egypt were the targeted, like more than 70% of the Decent Life Initiative. Yes. Is in Upper Egypt. So having these small projects and this opportunity of 5 years tax-free, 5% interest rate on funding for the micro and small projects, a lot of political will to make a lot of projects and a lot of successful industries into these villages. Yes. And this will make even the people who immigrated from the villages to the cities years ago will go back to where the profit is. The money is back into the villages. The money is back into the plantations, into the productivity, and the industrialization will take place into especially Upper Egypt. Yes. Because Upper Egypt and the border cities were neglected for years, but with His Excellency, our beloved President, now the eye on it, a lot of bridges and streets and roads leading to these villages. Yes. Very wide.
It's easier to go there and come back from it.
Yeah, and the wideness. As I was telling you, this is a strategic plan. If you want to make industries in these villages and you want to make productivity and real money coming from there and added value to every very precious plantation or precious thing in these villages, you have to make the roads for them. So we took years building the roads and bridges and very well infrastructure to reach there for trading and for facilitation of investment. Now easily any investor can go to any village in Upper Egypt or in Delta or even in the border cities. Yes. And do a big investment project with the workforce. We are very rich with our people. 120 million Egyptian is the infrastructure and the asset of Egypt. We have a young population. Our population is around 60%. Young people, median age is 24 years old. So with our assets, we can really do great industrialization, great projects, great work. And we have the roads and the infrastructure for that.
And speaking of the 120 million people that we have here in Egypt, how do you see the importance of the new initiative of the National Human Development Project? Because we have seen President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi speaking a lot about the importance of developing the human beings of Egypt, the culture of the Egyptians, the spirits of the Egyptians, not just the infrastructure as we have seen over the past decade. As you mentioned, the roads, the thousands of kilometers of roads that we have had over the past decade, the new capital, the new cities all over the country. It's more importantly for the people and by the people.
And by the people. Why we have the new capital? Why we have the new government? Because we were living on 7% only of the land. It is doubled and still will be doubled again. So all this for people to live on all the land and to benefit from all our resources We are a food basket.
Yes.
To Africa, with Africa, as an African country in the continent.
Yes.
And development of people and the human development is already, for the last few years, taken a big leap, a big work. And we saw the Ministry of Development, the Ministry of Youth, the Ministry of Communication Technology, the social solidarity. We saw the integration of all Egyptians and the training and the development of humans of Egypt on all aspects: language, culture, health, education-wise, and vocational training, everything, even a development on human development and soft skills, presentation skills. We saw that in every initiative in Egypt, we saw the NTA, also the national training, with a lot of initiatives, training youth and giving them all the soft skills to go, not only technical skills, also soft skills sometimes, and how to do your CV, how to go for an interview, emotional intelligence, and how to accept others, how to accept where you are. So I mean, a lot of work is taking place, and the initiative of human development, it started and it's going to complete. And we saw the success of it in our youth and in our women empowerment.
Yes, and of course, and awaiting more success in the future, Dr. Nevine Nakhla, the Professor of Strategic Management. Thank you very much for being with us tonight on the Daily Debate.
Thank you, I'm honored.
Anytime, the honor is all mine. And this brings us to the end of the Daily Debate for tonight. I will be leaving you, however, with a report about the Decent Life Initiative affecting about 17% of the Egyptian population, with a cost of 350 billion Egyptian pounds. We'll be having more details in the upcoming report, and I will be seeing you next week. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. 17% of the Egyptian population benefit from the Decent Life Initiative with the cost of 350 billion pounds. The Egyptian Center for the Strategic Studies issued in July a report entitled "The Villages of Egypt in 10 Years, From Marginalization to Decent Life," which is the initiative aimed at developing the countryside and improving the lives of 58 million with a budget that surpasses £1 trillion. The report said that 17% of the Egyptian population, residing a total of 1,500 rural villages, had benefited from the Decent Life Initiative over the past years with a cost of £350 billion. The initiative is planned to take place in 4,500 villages dispersed among 20 governorates. It was launched in January of 2019 and is being executed over 3 phases. The first phase, which is still being finalized, targets the villages where poverty rates exceed 70%. The second is for the villages where the range is between 70% and 50%. And the third will consist of villages where the percentage is below 50%. More than 333 civil service complexes have been introduced, as well as 330 agricultural ones, 217,247 electricity poles, 1,149 roads, 256 water pumping stations, 1,547 water treatment plants, and 1,101 healthcare units.